A long night on Capitol Hill where House Republicans are doing everything they can to pass the president's mega spending bill. But a couple of GOP holdouts are standing in the way, refusing to get on board.
Yeah, well, I just think it's interesting that all of a sudden people voted for Thomas Massie. Like, I don't remember voting for Thomas Massie with this. I remember voting for Donald Trump to get this bill passed. And I feel like...
How do you think Thomas Massie got his job there, fucknuts? Dude, what is she doing? She's like, I don't remember voting for Thomas Massie. Well, you'd have to live in his district. Dude, we are cooked, bro.
A lot of Americans who voted for Donald Trump feel the same way, especially not only with Thomas Massie, but a lot of the other Republicans who are kind of leaning towards no. They didn't vote for these Congress people. They voted for President Trump. They voted for this mandate. And if you're going to vote no on this, then you're voting along with Democrats, especially Democrats like Maxine Dexter, who was on the Hill today dressed in a white robe, who also visited...
Dude, Maxine Dexter, that's my rep, bro.
El Salvador to go see Kilmar Abrego Garcia, who killed Americans.
Now they're saying Abrego Garcia killed Americans? Dude, that didn't happen. You see that? Boy, that escalated quickly. Their lies? Dude, they just brazenly lies. Dude, what the fuck, bro? And she's wearing a cross while doing it, too. She's wearing a cross, and she's using Jesus' name while she just goes out there and just lies.
If you're not siding with Republicans, then unfortunately you're siding with Democrats. Anti-American.
Dude, anti-American. Holy shit, bro. What is she doing?
We feel very good about where we are, and we're moving forward.
House Speaker Mike Johnson optimistic as House members tonight voted to advance Trump's so-called Big Beautiful Bill to the floor for full consideration. The 5-minute procedural rule vote stretching out for hours after it started around 9:30 Eastern.
Oh,
with GOP
shit.
leadership working to persuade holdouts.
6
the
hours
president
ago,
taking
bro.
to Truth Social amid the stalemate, writing, for Republicans, this should be an easy yes vote. Ridiculous.
You ready for the mic drop here? None of those guys have read this bill. I think most of the people in that chamber have not read the entire bill. I mean, that's why I've been seeing content where they're starting to pull out pieces of things that are in there. Like, nobody even knows what's in this thing. The copy that I have right here is 887 pages, bro. Look at this thing, dude. It's crazy.
We're going to deliver the Big Beautiful Bill, the President's America First agenda, and we're going to do right by the American people. This is going to be a great thing for the country.
But not everyone agrees. The nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office estimating the bill's massive cuts to Medicaid could cost nearly 12 million Americans their health insurance over the next 10 years.
There's been a lot of gruff going on from the GOP about the CBO scoring. Okay, the Congressional Budget Office always looks at these bills and they draft a profile of how much this is going to cost, how much growth it's projected to do, to look at how costly. It's an estimate, right? But what I thought was crazy was Tim Burchett was running around talking about this today because they're like trying to say, you know what? The CBO doesn't mean anything. We shouldn't even be using the CBO. But watch this. He got called out today on CNN where she caught him in his own deceitful behavior. This is brilliant.
I'm just waiting out to hear just exactly everything. We've been breaking it down piece by piece.
So you're taking issue with the CBO estimate here?
Yes, ma'am, I do have an issue with it. The office is very partisan. I mean, 85% of the people in their healthcare division identify as a Democrat, or they've contributed to Democrats, or they're registered Democrats. They're leading, I believe their leading economist is that. We ought to do away with these organizations because we use them when we like them. We don't use them when we don't like them. And you've got a bunch of bureaucrats in here that are on a lifetime gravy train. And frankly, we've got independent agencies that can do that. We have people up here with accounting degrees that can do the math. So I feel like that is a waste of taxpayers' money.
So in January 2024, there was a Republican who trusted the CBO so much that they reintroduced a resolution to require the House clerk to read the CBO estimate of any bill. I believe that was you, sir, the third time you introduced that resolution. Is that right?
That's correct, ma'am. Of course, and that proves
but
just
you
what
don't
I
like
said.
The you don't like the CBO.
Right, you see that? She was like, oh, there was one Republican who was like insistent at the value of the CBO. That was you. What a fucking clown, right? Oh my God, but he's like trying to weasel out saying, oh yeah, when it agrees with us, we like it. When it doesn't, we don't. But it's like, no, that's not the way it works. Like Democrats always look at the CBO. You should always look at the CBO. I mean, it's not going to tell you the whole story, but it's going to tell you what kind of predicament you're in. But oh my God, she roasts him.
So in January 2024, there was a Republican who trusted the CBO so much that they reintroduced a resolution to require the House clerk to read the CBO estimate of any bill. I believe that was you, sir, the third time you introduced that resolution. Is that right?
Jesus.
That's correct, ma'am. Of course, and that proves
But
just
you
what
don't
I
like
said.
the
When it
CBO
serves
now.
us, ma'am.
But you don't like the CBO now. You introduced that resolution over multiple years, but now you're dissing the CBO.
Did the bill pass?
Your resolution?
Did the bill pass? Yes, ma'am.
You introduced it, sir.
I know
It's
it, ma'am, but did it
irrelevant.
pass? They never pass because nobody wants any verification. It proves my point. When it serves us well,
you took a
when it
stance and
serves
you were
us well, we're for it. But when it doesn't, we don't. So
You're clear.
Oh, so now because the bill didn't pass, he's trying to weasel out of it. Dude, this is the guy that is like all like Mr. Drag Queen. This is the dude who is obsessed with drag queens. A couple years ago, he was like the head of the fucking anti-drag queen army or whatever. They're such clowns,
where
bro.
you are on the CBO, I just want to say, but just to get to where you said earlier that you were closer to voting yes after speaking with the president. I saw the vice president sent you put a nice tweet up that you responded to. What did the president say to you that made you feel maybe closer to voting yes?
He talked about the economic output that we would have that was not in the CBO scores.
Oh, yeah.
And
the economic output that we're going to have with everybody like laying people off for AI.
And along those lines, he talked about other things that I'm not going to share, but
oh, he's not going to share. He talked about other things like you vote for the bill, or I'm going to go public with your drag queen lover, right? Oh shit, dude. Homie is like...
He talked about the economic output that we would have that was not in the CBO scores. And along those lines, he talked about other things that I'm not going to share, but because it was in privacy. But I think there's a lot of things that will probably be revealed when this is passed, and I think America will embrace it further. I think, again, once you...
It's going to talk about the forced labor camps for all the people that can't afford to eat anymore.
You do some things like straighten up Medicaid and Medicare, and you dispute a lot of the lies that are in the media about people getting kicked off. I think America understands what we're up against in this. We're up against the, people want to call it the swamp up here, but it's really just a sewer. It's a man-made thing that it doesn't produce anything. And
man-made sewer. Dude, these hillbillies are so fucked up, bro.
And it fights us every step of the way. And so I think once you allow Americans to get out and work and actually force those to work and get them off the couch that some of them are on, that are in the illegals and folks that are gaming the system, I think you're going to see that this country will bust wide open economically, and I think that's going to be a great thing for this country.
Well, the CBO, which you put so much trust in for years and years, that you passed a resolution wanting estimates read before bills, is very clear about how many people are going to be kicked off of health care until you were against the CBO.
No, ma'am. You listen. If you want to do the editorial, just go ahead, and you don't need me on here. But the
These
CBO,
are facts, sir. I don't have to editorialize.
Scores. I would like to see what the economic output of every bill. You as a taxpayer should want that too. And the CBO is the only organization we have.
See, the thing about the economic output is there's no way to measure that, bro. You know what I'm saying? These guys, when they start talking about economic output, okay, when they talk about economic output is such bullshit. And I have seen my entire life, okay, what ends up happening. Here is the story of the GOP. You know what they do all the time? They cut taxes and they give a whole bunch of money to the rich people. And then you know what they say? They promise like 6% GDP growth. Okay. But the reality is is when you put a huge amount of money into the pockets of the wealthy people, they never expand how much they invest. Okay? They never do. And in fact, they maintain a pretty steady investment for the most part. They don't take a lot of fucking chances. You know what I mean? And dude, every single time the GDP goes like down the tank. And now Donald Trump, though, is like, oh yeah, he's like, we're going to have a 10% GDP increase. But look what happened today, bro. Boom. Microsoft just cut 9,000 workers. And they already fired 6,000. 15,000 workers. They had $88 billion in profits last year. They fired 16,000 people already because of tariffs, because of AI. And dude, we haven't even gotten hit with what's going to happen with all these deportations, right? So you just had 100,000 people fired from the government by the clearing out of government jobs. You've had 100,000 people that are being deported, like most of which, 90% of which were working jobs, farming, service industry, construction. Okay. Who's going to work all those jobs? A bunch of AI evolution is happening. There's going to be a bunch of jobs that are transitioning to AI in the next 2 years. But like, bro, we're going to be in a little bit of a pickle where there's a possibility that we're going to have a bunch of unemployed people and a bunch of jobs that nobody wants. Dude, it is unstable. Right now, everything is unstable, man. Everything is unstable, boss.
And what do you have against knowing how much each bill is spent? Why is the media opposed to that? Why do you all on the left always fight every chance at America knowing what's going on? The problem y'all have with this bill, ma'am, is that it gets government out of our way and lets Americans make some decisions, and maybe hardworking Americans would have a better choice and a better shot at life.
Lets Americans make decisions? How? It lets us choose which concentration camp we're being locked up in? Like, what is he even talking about? Lets Americans make some decisions.
Life in this country without you all just telling us how bad things are going and trying to construct, and as you're doing with me, trying to dictate what I've said. And the reality is the CBO is a partisan organization.
Trying to dictate what I said by you showing exactly what I said. Oh, she's dictating now. Right? Dude, what a bunch of fucking clowns, bro.
And the reality is America has a right to know how much we're spending on every piece of legislation. I cannot believe you as a member of the media would not want open records. And that is exactly what that bill would do.
Sir, we have reported on what is in this bill. We do that time and again.
Ma'am, you all are trying to scare. Are you talking about the big, beautiful bill? You all just try to scare America by telling millions of people are going to be cut off this thing. You're talking about the.
They are. Millions of people are going to lose their Medicaid. It is by design.
People that are on it illegally, that are gaming the system, and that is. And
no, we're not. The CBO is very clear.
The bill does not do anything of what you've said.
See, they keep saying this mythical, like, concoction. You've heard them say this, where they're like, yeah, the 35-year-old guys playing video games in their mom's basement are going to get kicked off Medicaid. They got to go to work. But it's like, bro, name me a 35-year-old guy that's like using a lot of Medicaid, right? Nobody at 35. What are they doing? They're not having heart attacks. They're not taking statins. You know what I'm saying? They're not like, you know what I mean? They're not having colonoscopies yet. Like, what are they doing? They're going and getting what? With their Medicaid, their big Medicaid scam. They're going in and getting like toenail fungus creams or something. Like, what are we talking about here? You know, their whole story is bullshit. It's bullshit. Right? The whole thing.
And all you've done is scare America, and you're not doing a service to this country, ma'am. And you all ought to start talking.
Dude,
you want to talk
mad,
about transparency, and then there you are attacking me on a bill where I'm trying to make it transparent to how much we're spending on each piece of legislation. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me,
you
ma'am.
wanted to have the CBO estimate, and you're now railing
because
against
that is
CBO
the only
estimates.
organization. That is the only organization at our disposal to do that.
Good enough for you, and we are reporting on it. Congressman Tim Burchett, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you, ma'am. It's been a real pleasure.
Dude, what a fucking douche, bro. What is up, guys? Thank you so much for watching. You like the video, you want to support independent resistance media, you know what to do. Drop that sub, hit the like button, and please share it. And we do love our members, so if you want to become a member, it's another really great way to support. Thanks again for everything, guys. I'll see you next time. Let's go.